Hey, my name is McLean and I am a disabled artist. Welcome to my craft room. This video is going to be a tutorial of how I made this spring themed pom-pom wreath using my Crafting Coven Spring Equinox pom-pom making craft kit. Here are all of the materials that you get in this craft kit. You don't have to buy the craft kit to use this tutorial and make this wreath, but that's how I generate income as a disabled person. So if you do want to purchase the kit, they are available at craftingcoven.co for a limited time. And now let's get into how to make all of these different types of pom-poms and make a spring wreath. Your wreath doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Obviously, this is just how I chose to put mine together. This tutorial will show you how to make all these different pom-poms. And again, if you buy my kit, all of this material and the form comes with it, but you can always choose to buy different color yarn if you want. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a variety of different pom-poms, from your basic circle, Easter eggs, mushrooms, single flowers, flower bouquets, and bunny rabbits. And I'm going to use all of those shapes to make a seasonal wreath for my front door. And I've sent you everything in this kit to also make a wreath for your front door. But you don't have to make a wreath, and you don't have to make one exactly like I am. There's lots of different options with this kit. All of these are plain basic pom-poms, the easiest pom-pom to make, just using different size forms. So you have the extra large forms used to make these big ones, the large used to make some of these smaller ones, medium for these guys, and then small for these little ones. I made a lot of large green pom-poms because that's what I want the bulk of the outside of my wreath to be. But again, it's totally up to you. I have given you a lot of green yarn, and then you can see I also used this yarn for these guys. And that's a little trick, is these are plain pom-poms, but because I used a yarn with more colors in it, it looks like it has more going on. But like I said, I've given you a lot of green yarn in the kit because that's the wreath that I'm making and what I'm proposing you make. It's totally up to you. You can make whatever you want. So let's make a basic plain pom-pom. I've chosen the size form that I want to use for this pom-pom. I'm going to do the extra large form. I have a pair of scissors and I have my yarn. The first thing we're going to do is open up our forms like this, and then we're going to put them together and match the knobs to the holes, just like that. And now I'm going to take my yarn and I'm holding it with my thumb while I'm holding these two sides of the form together, and I'm just going to start wrapping. And I can adjust my form slightly to make sure the holes in the knobs are matched up. And then once I've gone back over this end, I can let that go. And I'm just going to keep wrapping until I have this all the way full. And I like to fill this little semicircle as well. You don't have to fill them that full. I just like a really full pom-pom. So I'm going to keep wrapping all the way around. And now that I have this side completely wrapped, I'm going to go over and do the same on the other side. You can cut this thread if you want and just restart a new thread on this side, holding it with your thumb like we did before. But I like to just wrap over to this side and then just come straight over to here. That to me has always worked, so that's the way I do it, but you can do it the other way, where you just hold it with your thumb like we did on the first one. So now I'm just going to go and do exactly the same thing on this side that I did on this one. Okay, and now that both of my sides are full, I'm going to put my form together, and you see these little tabs? We're going to use that to lock the forms together like that. So now we have a little donut. We're gonna cut off our yarn here, and then let's go ahead and cut another piece about that long. So now we're gonna go in and we're gonna take our scissors and we're gonna cut in between the two halves of the donut. And now we're gonna take that extra piece of string and put it in between the two halves of the form. And we're gonna tie it pretty tightly. I like to pull as tight as I can without breaking the string, because this piece of string is what holds all of your other pieces of string together in the pom-pom shape. So I'm gonna tie it in a square knot, and then I tie it once more just for extra safety. And then we can unclick our little plastic tabs. These tend to fall off pretty easily, but they're also pretty easy to just put back on. And then we're gonna pull our forms apart and pull them off. And see, I accidentally pulled a piece of the pom-pom off. That's fine, no worries. And then there's our pom-pom right out of the form. So now all we need to do is take our scissors and trim it into a round ball shape. And there you have your basic plain pom-pom. I leave the string I tied around the middle, I leave that on because I'm gonna use this to tie the pom-pom to my wreath form later. You can cut this string off and just hot glue your pom-pom to your wreath form, but yeah, I leave all the strings on. So there's your basic plain pom-pom. These will form the base of the outside of my wreath because I wanted a sort of mossy springtime vibe. But yeah, that's the basic plain pom-pom. Next, let's make some Easter egg pom-poms. I'm gonna use the medium form for these, and I'm gonna start with my pink. So just like with our plain pom-pom, we've opened up our form, and we're gonna get started holding our yarn with our thumb, wrapping around our form. And like I usually need to do, I usually need to adjust my form after I've wrapped the yarn around a little bit. And what I'm trying to do here, because I want to get this sort of striped effect, I'm going to lay down just one layer of pink. And I want complete coverage, but not a thick layer, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of being a little more purposeful about where I'm placing my yarn, and be sure to check both sides, making sure I have a pretty complete layer. And then I'm gonna cut that off and go in, actually, yeah, I'll do yellow next. And then I'm adding the yellow right on top of the pink, and that's gonna give us our two stripes on either side of the middle stripe. And then once I have a layer of that, I'm going to add a layer of this and then see if I have any more room and I want to do one of the other colors again, but I'll probably just do these three stripes in the middle and then this one to end it off. You kind of saw me trying an experiment on this tutorial. I wrapped my final color just sort of in the middle. I didn't go all the way to the edge. I want to see if that fixes this issue where the stripes don't really meet in the middle. Let's find out together. I think I figured it out. Yep, that was the trick. So for your stripy Easter eggs, oh my gosh, I've made so many Easter eggs these past couple weeks, and I just now figured this out. Yay! Okay, because I have pink in the middle, pink is what I'm going to use to tie my egg. So just like we did with our plain pom-pom, we're going to wrap our yarn around the middle and tie it, pulling as tight as we can without breaking the yarn. Tie it twice, 3 times, and then undo our little clips and remove the forms. So, shake it out. You can see it's kind of already a bit of an egg shape, so I just need to trim it. And there's our finished Easter egg. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a little mushroom pom-pom. I'm going to try to use the smallest form for this one. I think I used the medium for this guy, but let's see what happens when we use the small form. So again, we've opened up our form, we've matched up the sides, and we're going to start wrapping around and adjusting our form as we go to be centered. These little ones go together so quickly that I don't think I even need to time lapse. But one side of our form, we're just gonna do with white yarn. I'm just very quickly getting this wrapped. Okay, so that's one side, and that's gonna end up being the bottom of our mushroom. And then we're gonna go over to the other side. You know what, we can just go ahead and cut that off. We're gonna go to the other side and taking our red yarn, we're gonna start out just like we did with the Easter egg and get one layer of red. So I'm gonna try to be a little more purposeful about where I'm placing this yarn than I was with the white side. So I'm gonna get a layer of red, and then I'm going to take my white and wrap that around one little section over here. And I'm honestly just gonna wrap it around twice because we're just trying to get little dots everywhere. So I'm gonna wrap it around twice in that section, and then I'm gonna move over to the middle and wrap it around twice. And again, you would do this more for a larger form. So I think I can fit 3 dots, as it were, on this bottom section. And you'll notice I'm not cutting my red thread because I'm going to use that again in just a second. So I wrapped it twice, and I am going to go ahead and cut the white thread just because it'll be in my way, and I'm going to wrap the red for another layer and try to cover up all those white bits. And now we're almost at the end, so I think I'll probably only have room for 2 or 3 more, but I have side, side, and middle for the white on that first layer. So now I'm gonna try to put one there and there. So I've wrapped that around a couple times over there, and then I'm gonna switch to the other side. And I'm trying to split the difference between where I put the white before. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut that off and continue with the red. And we're getting pretty full here, but I'm gonna try to put one more white dot to get it in the center. I realized I didn't cover up the white over there. Make sure to check both sides of your forms. Okay, so I think that's good. And then I'm gonna go around everything once more if I can. With my red, I'm gonna check that side. Okay. And now I'm gonna put my 2 sides together. And then we just cut around the center like normal, and I'm going to cut a section of white thread to go around, and I'm going to make sure that I'm tying that thread at the bottom of the white section, because I want where I'm going to tie it to my wreath to be coming out of the bottom of the mushroom. So tie it 3 times, take your forms off. Like I said, these little pieces fly off all the time. Don't lose them, keep track of them, but it's okay if they come off. Okay, so now what we have is almost a Pokemon ball. I'm going to gather up as much of the red side as I can and separate the bottom half. And that's also why we started with red, so we could kind of pull these sections apart. And then we're gonna trim this bottom part pretty close to the middle section, because we want the bottom part of the mushroom to be much smaller than the top. And then we're going to trim the top of the mushroom less to make it more of a dome shape. And there's our mushroom pom-pom. You can also use this same method of the way I put the dots in the mushroom cap for your Easter egg pom-poms. If you want to make polka dot Easter eggs, you can do the same thing. And you can really see with this one, the way you trim your pom-pom can really change the way it looks. Okay, next let's do some flower pom-poms. So again, I'm going to use the smallest size to make some single flowers. These also kind of look like eyeballs, so if you wanted to reuse this kit for Halloween, there you go. First, we're going to take our yellow yarn and wrap it around the very middle of our pom-pom form, just a few times. And then cut that off, and I think I'm going to go with this sort of purpley color, and we're going to wrap that over the yellow. Sorry, I know you can't quite see this yet. Over the yellow and on either side of the yellow, just a little bit. And then we're going to really concentrate on wrapping just in the middle to build up the sides, because we're doing the yellow in the middle and then around the sides to make the petals of the flower. And we're really going almost all the way to the edge of our form. Okay, and then we will cut that off and take our green yarn for the leaves. I'm just gonna do a couple of turns of green on this side. And you can do just one leaf on one side or on both sides. I'm just gonna do one side for this one. So there's my leaf. And then I'm gonna fill in the rest of the space on this side with the yarn that I want to make up the rest of my flower. So I'm using this one that has pink, yellow, and green. This one uses just plain white. You could use, you know, any other color that you like. This is just what I'm choosing for my pom-poms and for my Spring Equinox wreath. And it's okay if, so like I'm just filling in the spaces here. It's okay if I don't have enough space to really go much on top of the flower. I'll do a little bit, but I don't really need that, because the other half of the pom-pom will be all of this color. Okay, so I'm gonna call that side full, and then like I did with my plain pom-pom, I'm just gonna skip over to the next side. And again, because this form is so small, I don't think I need to put a time lapse on this. You guys can just watch me wind in real time. And now that both sides are full, let's put our two sides together. My little plastic bits fell off, so I'm just grabbing them from my desk and adding them, trying to add them, there we go, to hold both sides of my forms together. I'm gonna use my tiny sharp scissors. And you can already see our flower starting to form from cutting that side. Cut that side. Cut a piece of yarn to go in between the two halves of our form. And again, I'm thinking about how I want this to sit on my wreath, and I want the flower to sit up on my wreath. So I'm going to make sure that I tie my tie in the back. Once, twice, 3 times, and we pulled pretty tightly. And then we're going to take our forms off. Shake it out. And now all we have to do is shape. And there is our single flower pom-pom. To make our multi-flower pom-pom bouquet, we're gonna do essentially the same thing, just more of it. So for this one, I'm gonna use my large form, set it up exactly the same way that we have been, and I'm gonna take my yellow yarn and do a center of a flower over on this side, and then another one over on this side. Okay, and then I'm gonna sort of squish it more together to make sure it ends up being kind of a tight flower center. And then I'm going to take one color of yarn and do the same thing we did on the other one for my petals, where I'm going on either side and then really focusing on that middle part to build up the petals on the sides as well. And then I'm gonna cut that off, and I'm gonna go over here with a different color. So I'm gonna use the pink. I'm still working on improving my motor skills and my hand-eye coordination, and this has been really good for that. And I'm just doing the same thing on this side. And building up those flower petals around and really focusing and building it up in the very middle. Okay. And now I want to decide what my background color is going to be. For this one I used white. For this one I used the pink multicolor. So I'm gonna go in with the, oops, I forgot my leaves. Don't forget your leaves. So I'm gonna put one leaf on the side of this flower. And then I think I'll put another leaf over on this side of this flower. And now I'm gonna go in with my background color and cover everything up. And I'm gonna cover it all up, but all on one level. So there'll be less yarn in the middle here, because I'm gonna put a third flower in the middle here. And I'll go ahead and time lapse this. So I grabbed a third color of yarn so that I can have a third color of flower instead of doing the same that I did on the bottom here. So I'm gonna cut off my base yarn. And then for the first two flowers, we took advantage of the fact that we were crossing the middle of our form. For this flower, we have to lay down some petal first before we can put our center in. So I'm just gonna wrap a little bit of this next color, and then I'll come in here with my yellow and wrap that around a few times to be the center. And then I'll cut that off, and I'll keep going with the petal color just like I did on the other ones, and really try to build it up here in the center. And then for this flower, I think I'll add green leaves on both sides. And you see how we've got a little bit of space here and a little bit of space here to fill up. So I'm gonna fill that up with the leaves, and then this side will be done. And then I'm gonna do almost the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, let's see how I did. That's one of my favorite things about Pom Poms is you hope that you did everything correctly, but you don't know until you cut it. The little tab came off. I kind of overfilled these, and when you overfill them, these little plastic tabs have a hard time keeping the sides together. And so again, I'm thinking about where I'm putting the tie. So I'm gonna try to put it right here where there's some of this yarn. Okay, and pulling as tight as we can without breaking the yarn. Twice, 3 times. Then let's remove our forms. And trim. And we'll see what we ended up with. And there is our finished flower bouquet. You could absolutely cut this into an egg shape instead of the round ball that I chose if you wanted to have floral Easter eggs. You could absolutely do that. That's totally an option. And lastly, let's make some bunny pom-poms. For this, you will need the small, medium, and large sized pom-pom forms, as well as some brown yarn and white yarn, and then your felt and these little eyes. I have included both brown and white felt so that you could make all white bunnies as well. I'm gonna make a brown bunny today. So I'm gonna make 3 basic pom-poms here. The small form will be white, and the medium and large forms will both be brown, and these will be basic pom-poms. We're gonna cut them into round shapes. I said we're cutting all of them into round shapes. I lied, I forgot. The smaller brown one, you want to cut into an egg shape because that's going to be the bunny's head. So we're making that kind of egg shaped. And where the point of the egg is, that's the little nose. Now we have our bunny base, our bunny head, and our bunny tail, and we need to assemble them. There's 2 ways to do this. One involves hot glue, and you are going to need hot glue to attach your ears and your nose. And another involves just tying. I like to do the tying method, but either way totally works. So the first thing I'm going to do is tie the tail to the body using 1 piece of the tail string and 1 piece of the body string, and just knotting that a few times, just like you would if you were just tying off your pom-pom. And then I'm going to trim all of these strings. And so now we've got our bunny butt. And then I'm gonna take my bunny head and position it where I want it on top of my bunny body. And I'm just gonna tie around the body. That's the way I like to do it. But again, you can absolutely hot glue this if you want, because once I've tied it onto the body, I can still kind of reposition it a little bit if I want the bunny to be, you know, like I have this bunny sort of positioned to sit straight up, but I have this bunny's head positioned more so that it looks like it's maybe like munching on some grass. So tying it means that I can still adjust the head a little bit if I want the bunny to be doing something else. And then I only tied that once, so let me go ahead and tie that again just to make sure it's secure. And then I'm just gonna clip off those threads. And you can't see where the thread went around the body because you can just fluff it out. So now we have our bunny. We need to add a nose, eyes, and ears. And that we are gonna do with felt hot glue and these little eye beads. Just realized I didn't have the black felt pictured earlier. You also get black felt in your kit so that you can use the black yarn to make black bunnies if you want. So you can make black, brown, and white bunny rabbits with this kit. And since we're making a brown bunny, I have a piece of brown felt and a piece of pink felt. So for the pink, I'm just gonna cut off a triangle for the nose, and then I'm gonna refine it to make it a more appropriate size and shape for this little guy. And I like to kind of round the edges. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. A nose is a nose is a nose. And then I'm going to take my soft brown felt and cut an ear shape. And I'm just doing this freehand. You can always refine it later. And I'm making it kind of the shape of an old school Christmas light bulb. And then I'm checking to see, is that too big? Is that big enough? That feels okay. I might take in these sides just a little bit. And then I'm gonna use the one I just cut to give me a template to cut another one out. And to make it easier, I'll cut my felt down into a smaller piece. Lay that on top of it. And again, I might cut both a little bit and refine the one on top while I'm cutting the one on the bottom. And the one on the bottom will always need to be fixed, or at least in my experience. So let me go and round out the top. And bunny ears, like many things, are sisters, not twins, so it's okay for them to be a tiny bit different. No two bunny ears are exactly alike. So there's our ears. And you can, if you want, you can use your pink felt to make insides for the ears. And then we have our eyes. So I like to place my nose, then my eyes, then my ears. So I'm gonna look, I have to cut off this thread. This is driving me crazy. Goodbye. So looking at our bunny's face, because I have poor motor skill function, I use a pair of tweezers for this. You may not need to. And I'm also noticing that I need to cut some more of my bunny's face. I can go back and do that later. Okay. So I'm gonna say that I want my bunny's nose right there. So I'm gonna put some hot glue on the back of my bunny's nose. And I use quite a bit of hot glue. And then I'm just gonna squish that on there. Like that. Okay, so there's our nose. And then I'm going to take one of my eyes in my tweezers. And again, you may not need to use tweezers. That's just, I need to use them. And I'm gonna see where I want my eye first. And I want it right about there. And so I've kind of made a little mark on my bunny so I can see where I want to place that. Then I'm gonna put a bunch of hot glue on the back of this eye, and I'm gonna stick it right in there. And push it down as far as you can because eyes kind of sit a little bit deeper than the fur. And then the same thing for the other side. I'm gonna first see where the eyes should go because we want them, unlike ears, the eyes should match as close as possible. So that eye is gonna go there. One of my other beads stuck to my hot glue gun. And I'm gonna place that right there. Okay. So now we have our nose and our eyes. I'm just pulling off some hot glue spider webs. Okay, and now we're gonna do our ears. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put some hot glue at the base of the ear and squish it together. If you are using high temperature hot glue, be careful of this because glue is very, very hot. I am using high temperature hot glue today. If you were a member of Crafting Coven last year, you got a low temperature hot glue gun with your summer solstice kit, so you may still have that. You can use that as well. And I added a little bit more because I wanted to go a little higher because my goal is to have a pinch down here at the base of the ear. And so now I see I have too much felt and I'm just gonna cut that off. And then I'm gonna do the same to my other ear. So that I make sure I get a pinch down there at the base. Cut that excess off. Oops. Okay. Now I'm just trying to make them match. Okay. You see how my ears got significantly smaller as I worked with them? That's something to keep in mind. You might want to make your ears a little bit bigger at first because they might end up a little bit smaller. So now I'm going to decide where I want to put my ears. And I'm gonna kind of try to mark it with my tweezers because I want to know where I'm going. Add a bunch of glue and then place that bunny ear. And bunny ears point a little bit outward. So I put it in kind of straight and then I turned it a little bit. So there's one ear. And now we need to do the other. I think I'm gonna go right there. Okay. And I like using the soft felt for this because it's kind of moldable and I can kind of shape my bunny's ears after they're on its head. And there you go. There's your bunny. And so now with this one, we did lose all of our strings. So this bunny will get glued to my wreath instead of tied. And in the kit, you have enough materials to make, I think, up to 4 bunnies, 1 skein of yarn, can make 1 to 2 bunnies depending on how densely you wrap. And so you have supplies to make white, black, and brown bunnies. Now with most of our pom-poms made, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble my wreath and then see what's missing and what additional pom-poms I wanna make. Okay, and there's my wreath so far. I have this yarn skein holding this bunny's head up because obviously this wreath will sit up on my front door, not on its back like it is now. So I think I want to make a couple more mushrooms, a few more Easter eggs, and then I think I'm done, and this will be ready to hang on the front door for spring. And as you saw at the beginning of this video, this is the finished product and how I chose to put my wreath together. Again, you can make yours exactly like mine if you want. There's enough material in the kit to do exactly this, or you can change it up. If you want all Easter eggs or all mushrooms, go for it. I mean, have at it. And I hope you enjoy. If you are watching this because you've already purchased a kit, thank you so much for your support. You have no idea how much that money means to me. I'm disabled and this is how I generate income to pay for my meds and to pay for my mortgage. Please let me know what you make, what pom-poms you make, and what you think. I will be posting more videos on YouTube starting at the end of April, and this is some of the type of content you can expect on this channel, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to watch more in the future. Thanks so much. Bye, YouTube.